All new for 2020, learn modern style, upscale hot rod and resto-mod interior fabrication techniques from some of the leaders in the category. Half the battle is designing something you can build and upholster while keeping the systems serviceable behind those panels. With modern electronics playing a larger role in resto-mod and hot rod builds, the older styles of padding everything with foam and using screws to attach panels, well, they're obsolete. Attendees will hear about new and exciting interior fabrication techniques and tips to bring in customers and make your shop the go-to place for interiors that have style, function, and serviceability.
Hey guys, welcome to SEMA360. We're super excited to be with you today. My name is Brian Schmidt.
My name is JT Torres.
And we're here live at our headquarters, Mobile Solutions in Tempe, Arizona. And we wish we could be there at SEMA in Vegas, but unfortunately, we're going to do our best to kind of show you guys some cool stuff here in our shop. So today, we have a bunch of really cool things we want to show you guys. And really, our company does this on a larger scale. We do all kinds of training here at our place, and we do it all over the globe on fabrication techniques, interior design, and we have a whole line of specialized tools that we offer to hardcore guys like yourself. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys, as we're going through this training, I wish we could be there live with you, doing it in front of you, but we're not. Feel free to ask questions, comment, let us know. We'll be happy to answer. We are going to be watching this live and be able to answer comments as you guys post and give us messages.
Yeah, and please let us know. I believe there's going to be some sort of evaluation, so let us know how we did, and we would love to continue to do this in the future.
All right, thank you guys. All right guys, so to start, we're going to walk you through some really simple but effective techniques that are going to help you through this whole process. JT, what are you going to show these guys?
So I think what we want to show you guys is basically how to build like a package tray. So something like this. And we're going to show you how to do it in a way that is efficient and that you can do it as many times as you want and get the same result every time.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so to get started, the very first thing JT and I like to do is we try to get our ideas onto paper, and to sketch that sometimes can be difficult. I'm not the best artist, he's not either, but we use tools like this smart template that we make and manufacture. It's a graduating arc, and we have all different numbers. This happens to be a number 4, it's a 1 through 8 set, and then you can set this on your piece and actually use it as a drawing tool. So we're just kind of outlining this outline shape right here, and we're focusing on just this arc right here. That's kind of your first step, is to define the outer shape, and then we're drawing it full scale. So if you look at our drawing here, we've only drawn, we drew half of it. So we drew half, we've sketched out the top half, and this is in full scale mode. Once we have half, then we just copy it, and we've literally just taken and traced out the other side. So now we have full symmetry on our piece. So this allows us to keep symmetrical left and right. By only drawing half of it, it really helps us keep that symmetry. So now we're going to execute against our drawing here and actually build the wood parts for it. All right guys, so we've got this piece laid out right here. This is a full-scale drawing. We're using arc templates and just really connecting that geometry. And then we're taking this piece of paper and starting to build it onto a piece of wood. We always like to start with 1/4 inch wood. It's cheap, it's easy to machine, it's a lot safer rather than like a thicker piece. The template is actually 2-sided tape on top of here. We got some tape right there. We use 2-sided tape, so it's a very fast, fixed to the piece of wood, and then it just comes right off. It doesn't damage anything, and then it's a one-time application. So once you tape that down, you're all set, and then that router bit is going to come in here and router this off. Okay. And what we're trying to do is build this exact shape right here, something similar to this. We're just focusing on that top edge. Then you can see right here how that fits onto that package tray. This would be our finished piece. So you can kind of jump ahead a few steps and see the finished product. So now that you got an idea of a drawing or building parts and we're going to execute it, let's just go ahead and start making some machine router parts.
All right, this is the only reason I'm here, to make a mess. So.
So you guys see that this is a 1/4 inch spiral bit. It has 4 bearings on it. The bearings right on the plastic on the top, and the cutter cuts the MDF and it cuts it nice and flush. So no need to have a jigsaw and sand it every time. You have a predicted cut, like JT mentioned. You want to do it over and over again, and that's what that bit does. So it's a super efficient bit. It's a really cool piece. We didn't mention this router lift right here. This actually has a fixed base router inside of it, and then you can raise and lower it up and down. Each rotation is 1/16 of an inch up or down. So it's really cool. It's very safe. And you can also interchange that red insert. For larger bits, you have a larger opening, and smaller, it shrinks it, so it makes it a lot safer for around that bit. So it's a really cool piece. It does have that cam lock on there, and it's super nice. This is actually a new product, and we're going to use this next, that actually controls the dust. It has magnets inserted into it, and they actually lock in there. So when the dust hits it, it can actually deflect off of here, and then it just rolls in here, and it keeps your shop nice and dust free, and most of it goes right back into the table. So let's go ahead and go on to the next step. So now we're getting ready to actually do some machining. We want to focus on some of these inside cutouts. And we get a lot of questions on how do I build these rings, this continuation around here, have an even wall thickness, and maybe put a chamfer on that. So we're going to show you guys. This is a really cool trick, but you need a couple special tools to do this with. This is called our smart frame system, and you can see it's got adjustability with these pivot points. So that has an access point where you can pivot it. You can kind of rack it to whatever shape you want. And once you kind of get your desired cool shape, then you lock it down. You lock it down on where exactly you want it. You tighten up these knobs, you're good to go. The next step would be to put 2-side tape on the bottom of it. And we've kind of got one prepared for you right here. So it's got an upper and a lower rail here. This is the upper rail, this is the lower rail, and I've just got some nice 2-sided tape, a couple layers here. This is 1/2 inch. We'll tape this on here. JT's gonna make sure that that piece of wood is super clean. And we've also drilled a hole right here on the inside of the line. It's a 1/4 inch hole. It's best to do with a drill bit, a drill press, but you know, if all you have is your hand drill, it's fine. A little trick for you guys is you can actually take the bit or the drill bit and set it upside down like that, so you know you have a solid plane, because the bit here is the same diameter as this. We're basically going to start that bit right in that hole there. You always want to drill that on a flat edge too, so I don't want to try to do it in a corner. I want it on a flat surface like this. We'll bring it in and just get it close, and then once he feels comfortable with that setup, press down. Once you press down, it's kind of set. The tape is a one-time application only, so don't try to reuse it, stick it down, and then set it to another piece. It will fail. It will lift on you immediately. So make sure you got a nice solid compression with that tape. This wood that we're using is actually a little secret. It's actually MDF light. It's not the real MDF that you would buy. It's actually used for CNC and waste boards, but the porosity of it is about 70% less or 30% lighter than normal MDF. So it's going to machine really nice. It won't burn, and you'll see the difference. Now, we actually are soldering 3 different levels of template. So if you could zoom in, you can see there's actually, it's called a quad bearing. There's more bearings on that bit, and it's specific. We've actually had that engineered specifically for us so we can do this. So when we router this, I can go to one level, change levels, and I could even hit this third level up here, and that bit stays always, and the bearing stays always has contact against the template as it cuts around here. So we're going to go ahead and start this process. He's going to push forward and then just advance to the left, nice and slow. We're going to end up with a positive and negative piece at the end. So we'll go ahead and router this piece. So as you guys see, as he finished the cut, the centerpiece is actually free floating. And so he just put his thumb, kind of put pressure on that so that piece didn't slide around. But now you have a perfect shape. So that's your geometry for that inside cut. Does that look familiar? So these templates build that shape that we're trying to go for, as you can see right there. It's super cool. It's very fast. And then we can configure this completely different for the next setup or leave it. I would recommend leaving your setup until the car leaves the building. Sometimes you might pull that apart too quickly and you need to go back to this as kind of as saving a file. You're saving your template. So don't change that setup too soon. But now we're going to take this positive shape right here and we're going to kind of go to the next step. And that's building that ring. We want an even wall thickness that's going to go all the way around this outside edge and cut that inside shape of the next piece. So we're going to show you our next router trick in just a second. So now we are kind of ready to progress to our next step. But before we jump into this technique, we want to kind of show you a few things on the wall here that, you know, we use this technique, this application for just about everything. So as you look at some of these panels, these rings here, or even parts of a ring, it's actually cut off here, but it's a continuation, and you see in a lot of these panels is this ring. That's what we're going to be focusing on, is really kind of breaking down that process on all these things here up here. And it's probably one of our most popular techniques. It's very simple to do, but you do need to have a few tools to do it with. You know, we've got a couple different bits here that we're going to talk about in a new router sled that we haven't kind of introduced yet. So these are the kind of your primary bits right here. We have a gigantic rabbet bit. It has a huge cutter. It cuts 1.1 inches deep, but the height of the cutter is actually pretty narrow. If you look at that, it's only 1/2 inch tall, and that gives it less rotating mass, so it's actually balanced really good. It does look scary, and it is scary, but it is very safe as long as you follow the rules. Okay, it's got 2 bearings on the top. It's a great bit, 1/2 inch shank, and you want that deep rabbet cut. We're going to show you that in a second. A 1/4 inch drill bit, and then a 1/4 inch flush trim bit, and that we kind of have them interchanging here. And this actually walks you through the steps: step 1, step 2, and step 3. And I'm going to do part of it, and JT is going to do the other part, and we'll walk you through that whole process together. So let's get going. From our last piece that we just cut out, we actually took and made a duplicate copy so we could get more height. We need that height so we have more clearance that will pass under through our safety device here. So we just put some 2-sided tape on here. And this is going to allow that router shield to tape it. So this is our kind of our safety device. We'll just center this up, get it close, and then you see these rails on the side. We want those for stability. So we're going to drop this down, and you can see this can be moved up and down. It can do side to side, and this is a really cool feature for other advanced kind of fabrication techniques. Let's get this one dropped down. Same thing. This just gives us more stability and makes it much, much safer. That way, when I'm routering this thing, my hands are up here, and I have a ton of mass holding this pressure down. I can see through it. Instead of me having my hands by that very large bit, I can press down and I can just move this around. It has, like I said, it has a ton of stability and it does a great job. This is a massive amount of material, so it's going to make some dust. We want to make sure that, you know, it's stable and it's held on pretty good. Our recommendation for height on this cut is usually about 1/4 inch. So if this is flush, if I turn it 1, 2, 3, and 4 times, that's actually 1/4 inch high off the table. Remember, 1/16 per revolution. So that gets us to about 1/4 inch. Let's lock this thing down. We do have kind of our dust shield here that we can place in front of it, off to the side. Let's see if we can place that off to the side here. And that way it will help maybe deflect some of this dust for us. Now you can see that cut. That's a rabbit cut. It steps in, the bearing follows on this outside edge all the way around, cuts it in 1 1/8 inch, and then we can peel this part right off of here. That side tape, like I said, it's just a one-time application. You want to peel that tape off right away. If you're going to do a left and a right, just leave the spacer on here, attach your other side, and go ahead and do it. You might have to flip it and reverse it if it is a left and a right. But you can see the stability, how nice this is. You can raise and lower it, actually put it at different angles, and actually put attachments on the side. So it's a great safety device and just keeps your digits out of the way. Here's kind of fast forwarding a little bit. If we look at this, this has a graduated angle from really thin to its full height on this side with that chamfer on there, and then there's a base plate on here. So it allows you to do a lot of really cool things and give you a cool look. It looks definitely 3D, but it's actually a 2D part that's modified. So let's go to the next step. So what JT's going to do is he's going to drill a 1/4 inch hole right on that edge, and this will allow that bit to start in there. It's going to start right in the center there. It's going to cut on both sides. Notice we always have a backer plate. You don't want to just hang it over the edge because it'll have blowout, tear out that back side of the MDF or whatever material. So his next step here is he's going to adjust that height, get eye level with it, so the cutter is about a 32nd of an inch above your workpiece. Once he feels solid with that, he's going to set it, press firmly down, and then continue. And you always want to push against the direction of the bit. So do your thing, JT. Alright, so you can start to see some of the progression here on our pieces. Let's just kind of lay them out for you guys. And we got our drawing handy. So we're going to start just like this. These are your steps to the puzzle. You can see we always start with that drawing. The drawing is kind of the heart of everything, so we're executing against this full-scale drawing. That's step one. Once we kind of determine that drawing, we started doing our layout from the outside, so you can see some of that. And then some of the internal rings. This is going to fit in here. And we just start building these pieces. So from here, we made this piece, and that was this. So these two fit together. We came in, we cut that whole thing out, and you can see, you know, there's your negative, that's your positive on the bench. And then we took and did that rabbet step and cut these two together. Drilled the hole, came in, routed that out, but now we have an even wall thickness. Look at how even that wall thickness is. It's ready to go, and that fits right here. So pretty cool piece, very fast, just took us a few minutes, and we can rock that thing out. All right, guys, so our next topic here is really to talk about some of the cool contours, and I'm sure you've seen this on maybe some builds, but you see some of this contour. It's actually a deboss in the vinyl, and it's actually really cool to do. We prefer to do this instead of embossing. I think embossing is cool where it's raised lettering, but I actually have it sunk in, or a deboss. You see this a lot, like on the Ford logo and other vehicles. It's really cool. This is an example here. We have another example right here on this panel, and you can see some of the debossing there. Now here's the trick. So it's just a little bit of body filler, and we really usually don't share this a lot, but it is a cool trick. You basically take this, but this is two-sided tape, and you're going to take body filler and fill up to it. It's 1/32 of an inch where you're floating it from this edge to here. Once you sand it down and you expose that top again, then you peel this off, and now you have a channel, and then you put your upholstery glue on it and cover it up. So a little trick from us to you, and we'll just keep that a little secret, right?
Yeah. So this guy, so this is a panel that we have been working on, so you can see all the different parts. That's basically how this whole the whole package tray will look right before we get it wrapped. Now the next thing that we need to talk about is how do you make that gap so that you have a consistent gap when you wrap all these panels with the material. So we have some really cool tools that we can show you. So check this out.
All right, so let me talk about the tray, and then JT's actually going to router this out. This is the tray right here. If we can zoom in on that, it actually has, there's actually a larger tray than this one. These are the four major ones, but you got a 32nd, you got a 16th, an 8th, and 3/16, and we've kind of gapped it for you and telling you it's one layer of vinyl or two, carpet, and then carpet and vinyl. So you can build everything flush. So JT, show these guys what it looks like for a flush panel, and then the gap.
So basically you will have two separate panels, right? Just like that. So if you were to put material in between them, you will have a gap on one of them. So what we do is we basically create a step. So we're gonna use a 1/32 router bit to do that.
Hold on, safety first.
Oh, safety first. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Because we use glasses all the time. So we're creating a step for the vinyl to go in there. So when you fold it, it will do that.
This just allows you to build everything flush to begin with. So you don't have to worry about gapping. You can pick the carpet, the vinyl, the suede. You can pick that along the way at the end of the build. That's usually what we do, is we'll build everything tight so it's all perfectly flush, and then we go back and we gap it, and we gap it with this set right here. So that's why it's so cool. That kind of beats a lot of the old ways where we're using tape or bondo or trying to fill up to it. This way you can just machine it and make it perfect, and that's how we're getting all of these lines on that hard finish to fit perfectly. So one of the really cool things about using router bits instead of sanding is you're able to use these massive profiles to get that big 45 look or a rounded edge. I mean, we call these monster bits. They are absolutely huge. But just imagine trying to sand that profile. So we want the router to do the work for us and not have to spend all that extra time. So we try to engineer it so the bit is doing the work for us and we're not trying to sand all day long. And you can see some of the profiles. JT, show them some profiles on that side.
So you have, well, like for example, this guy right here, we actually have two separate pieces on this, but this is started as one single piece. So it has a probably like 45. So hard to show this, but basically it was profile first, and then we took another tool and we basically cut it at an angle. So as you can see, and you want to talk about magnets?
Yeah. So after you get all your profiles done, then you can figure out some like your attachment points. And this is kind of a raw piece. And if we peel off some of these layers, you can see some of the parts and pieces. And we actually have, this with a skin on the bottom that it locates. And all these pieces, they actually come off as well. They're acrylic pieces, and it just makes it really nice, very modular. This is a cool piece right here.
So check this one out. So you can take this guy like this.
If I'm the customer and you're handing me all these pieces, it makes it much more interesting to talk about your fab panels.
This one. And you just basically do that like that.
Right, and you can see the back side is totally finished. And then you let the customer, I'm the customer, put it back together. It's very satisfying. It's cool.
So imagine a panel in the trunk, and basically behind it you have like the fuse panel or like maybe the battery, and you want the customer to be able to like easily go there and like service the vehicle. So you can do panels like that.
JT, let's show them this. This is kind of like a step one, step two. You're going to hold the back plate, and then we're just going to peel off this front panel right here. And then you can see there's magnets actually embedded underneath the vinyl. Show them the back side of that. So it has black acrylic that just makes it nice and finished, and then that thing just snaps right onto our piece here. And then it's all held by magnets. So the magnets hold the whole thing. Super strong. We like to use 3/8 or 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch magnets. They have about 10 pounds of holding force each pair of them. So it's really cool, and it's a great way to hold your interior panels on. All right, so kind of some of our last tips here on upholstery, and we always get these questions on, how'd you wrap that vinyl? How'd you get it to stick? Well, this is kind of a few of the things put together. You can see that line right there, and we did show you how that was done with that two-sided tape and that body filler. This is another technique that's using aluminum rod to do a transition here, and just kind of giving you a lot of dimension on a flat panel. That's kind of one of our favorite things to do. And then if you look at the back side, notice that we've actually put a step in this. This actually has a 1/32nd inch step all the way around this outside edge. And like one of these bits would be a great example of that is we're not really using the offset. We just want to go in just a little bit, a 32nd of an inch, and just give it that nice transition. So when you heat that vinyl up and you pull it around, it's actually flush on the back side, and it's a really cool technique. Every single one of these panels that you're seeing has that technique on it.
Check it out. So same thing with this panel. So there's a couple different layers on this one. Oops. This top, basically this part, it was probably made out of acrylic, right?
This is actually MDF, if you can believe it or not.
Oh wow.
This is MDF, and it's primered with a poly primer and painted. And it was actually routed. It was routed in two pieces, but we chamfered it as one. So we taped it together and then chamfered it and then pulled it back apart. And then JT, tell me about this material right here.
So this material, I don't know if you guys have seen that vehicle wrap material. They have all these different texture materials. They even have like a leather texture vehicle wrap that you can get. and it looks really cool. So this is like a brushed aluminum. So basically you will make your part, you will primer it, you basically get it ready for paint, and then you will wrap this panel, and that's how you will get that look. It looks really cool.
Yeah, the key is to have whatever material it is, if it's acrylic or plastic, it needs to be sanded to at least 600 grit, and then if it's MDF, it cannot have any pits in it or impurity. It just has to be totally flat, we call it a trophy finish. So if you were to paint it almost to that level,
Almost ready for paint.
yeah, and that's a really cool look. And you can see we've got black vinyl, brown, the silver, and then a kind of a satin paint with this mesh here. So you can, all those materials, they complement each other and they blend nicely. This is a miniature panel. It doesn't really fit any vehicle. It's just to show technique. It's to show
Just an exercise.
your customers, or exercise if you're a do-it-yourselfer. But we like to show the technique and show kind of different things about it. So super cool.
And the other thing on this panel that is going on, I don't know if you can actually see it, but basically all the mesh is actually pressed, so it's not really flat. So I don't know if you got it. There you go.
So it's a press grill, and that's just another continuation of a router technique to get the die. We actually make the die custom, and it's usually out of MDF or acrylic, and then you just put it in like a 20-ton press and smash that metal, perforated metal down, and it works great. It really gives you a cool look. Looks like it's done in a factory. Okay, so you guys see that detail on those press grills. It's really a cool technique. It's easy to do. It's just another continuation of a router technique. So
There you go. So that's that.
and then, one of the things that we like to do is to really have a nice presentation for your customers. Having the books like JT has, so you can, match the vinyl or carpet, whatever you're trying to do with Veteran or Keystone or whatever the fabric is. And then actually have fabric swatches like this. So it's a nice visual. It's always nice to show your customer this. It gets them excited, and they get to be part of that process of picking the colors. So anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed today. I mean, we talked a lot of different things, specialized bids, router techniques, different templates, and then, kind of to lead into maybe some of our future seminars.
This is a center console. We wish we had the opportunity to actually show you guys how this was done, but we only have a set amount of time. This is a center console that we built a couple months ago. So it's not it doesn't necessarily fit in a vehicle, but it's functional.
It is full scale, and you can see the French seam, some of the wood grain, the painted pieces. We machined all this. The only two things that are not are this and this. Everything else that you see on here, we actually fabricated and built. So it's a really cool piece, but just focus on the different materials, the carpet, the French seam, the leather, the paint, the wood grain, all those things play into it, and they help complement the vehicle. So,
Well, it looks like this is all the time we got, right? Thank you very much.
thanks, guys. We sure appreciate it, JT and I. We had a great time today. If you guys have more questions, hey, feel free to check out our website at mobilesolutions-usa.com. Email us. We'd love to talk with you guys, and hopefully we see you guys next year at SEMA.
Yeah.